colleagues here who are really in our East Coast, we always call them the leaders in the Afrofuturist movement, and particularly in terms of Afrocentricity in Afrofuturism. And so we're really, really proud of having these two colleagues at Temple University. So I've been, when I knew I was going to be on the program with them, and that Ayo Sakai would be sort of as a moderator, I was trying to think, what do I have to say about this? And as an Afrocentrist, I am overjoyed that there is this incredible synergy going on with people in the Black speculative movement and Afrofuturism. So I want to, if you don't mind, because I'm always writing, I want to just read a little bit. Is that okay? And I'll try to read it with, like Biden did last night. All right. So that way we will have something to say. First of all, as an introduction, the great fear right now is the fact that the origin and the future of the earth rests in Africa. And I think it's a great fear. And I think we put that out there, and all the issues that were talked about by Dr. Anderson and Dr. Jabali Ade really are issues that we see we are confronting, whether they're immigration, or the whole notion of replacement theory. All these things are out there. But the great fear is Africa. And Africa is woke, I think, with its imagination grounded in what we would call ma'aticity. And this is a word I got from Dr. Nadav. The notion that we are actually going to look at, as Anderson says, this notion of the jed, the stasis, the place where we stand, which is fundamental to an understanding of Afrocentricity and how we engage with data. This is extremely important because the most important thing in the world, product in the world today, is data. And it's more important than gold, it's more important than diamonds, it's more important than uranium, platinum. And when we think of the African American population and the African world population, particularly in the Caribbean, in South America, and in Africa itself, there is so much data that has not been mined that everybody is jumping at Africa for the mining of that data. That's the big piece that's out there. Because we're always talking about the Chinese coming to Africa, and you go all over Africa and you see Chinese in every country, right? Togo, everywhere, right? Ethiopia, South Africa. But the Chinese are looking mainly for minerals. It's the Googles and the Western media giants that are mining Africa for data. That's extremely significant. Because what that means is that all of that knowledge they have in Ghana about medicine, ancient medicine, all those herbs that they have in South Africa, and all the knowledge that the sages know, all of that can be turned quickly into data for Google. But who's controlling it? Who owns this? Who is able to say, look, we have here 100,000 plants that we have studied, and we know, we have all of this. What's going to happen to that? And how is it going to be used when it is used for example, in the West as a part of your search engine? Is it going to highlight the agency of African people? Why are African people allowing it to happen on the continent? We just open, come and take us. We welcome you with open arms. We bear no weapons. Come and eat with us, right? And so before you know it, the data of Africa that and I saw this when I lived in Zimbabwe. They were having, the doctors, the traditional doctors in Zimbabwe were trying to create a way to preserve the medicine that they had created, because now they're not just taking it in the West, the Indians were taking it in India and then selling it back to Africans. Like, oh, this is the remedy for that. But we already knew those remedies, but we didn't control it, you see. So this is extremely important to me. The data used by speculative artists, actually, really that data is being created by you right now. Those of you who are in this room, you're Africologists or students of African phenomena and the agency of Africa. You're the ones who are making it. There's no black secret technology. There's no white secret technology. There's only human technology asserting agencies to create humans with strong modalities. And there's a full similarity between all of us. It's just like when you come to San Jose, you look at the buildings in San Jose, oh, San Jose, oh, I see. I've seen some buildings look like this in Fort Lauderdale. But they're not the same places, you know what I'm saying? So it's a faux similarity. And that's the way human culture is like that. We see it and say, oh, well, they got this, they do this, they wear these clothes, so, but there's differences, and those differences depend on agencies. Now, here are a couple of things. For me, we have to, in terms of looking at the future, we have to look at definition, chronology, and mythology. Those three things: definition, chronology, and mythology. And agency is always accused and sits at the nexus of the Pan-African futurity and the assertive idea of cultural justice. That's where we find our strength. You see? Let me say this again. That agency sits at the nexus of Pan-African futurity and assertive cultural justice. But we must have consciousness, motivation, and decision in order to be able to activate it, because right now we're in a paradigmatic transition. Now, this paradigmatic transition, all that means is that the paradigm, the so-called paradigm of the Western world is shaking. And it is exhausting itself. It doesn't seem to be able to generate a capacity for replacement. And this is very interesting, because I had this conversation with Susa Santos in Chicago at the AERA a few years ago. We had supposedly a debate that Joyce King had set up with me and Susa Santos. And everybody was so excited because he was talking about the epistemologies of the South. But what I pointed out was that the epistemologies of the South that he was parading were not meant to aid the South. The epistemologies of the South, the reason he wrote that book was because he was interested in how can we re-energize Europe. That's a whole different story. but you know how we are. We so accepting, right? I traveled to Cameroon, talking to the dean of the College of Liberal Arts at Yaoundé, and his thing was they were so happy to have Susa Santos works and so on and so on. I said, but do you understand his works? Do you know what this is about? Because we were just happy that he was talking about the South. But no, but that is not about us. Yeah. It's about what can be gained from the South that might help to create a situation that will restart or energize what's going on in the Western world. That's what Susa Santos is. And so when we understand that, then I think we understand that this notion of disruptive innovation is essential. How much time do I have? I'm fine. Okay, good.
Yeah, you have a couple minutes.
I got it. Okay, good. Okay, that's good. Okay, here's what we need to have and to understand. If you do not claim agency, you will never create the future. Indeed, you will not even be in the future. I remember reading the story of a South African demonstration by the Azapo against a group of whites who had challenged blacks over the killing of animals. Black people were killing animals on the beach. And it fascinated me because of the culture of death that these whites had presided over during the apartheid regime was far worse than what the black people were doing when they were going out there making ritual sacrifices of animals, right? Strike Thokani, the legendary leader of the Azapo, reported on December 28, 2018, that black protesters ambushed the Clifton Beach in Cape Town and slaughtered a sheep to cleanse the demon of racism. According to Thakani, white racists were quick to speak out about the cruelty to the animals and to act with unity in support of the white residents of Clifton who hired private police to remove Africans from the beach near their houses. The matter was put under investigation by the government because no one came forward to say that they had hired the private police. All right, thank you. Did you see how they did me? You know, and I love this brother. This brother just told me, you got all the time in the world. And that's not, okay, I'm not going to read my speech.
Yes, he is. 5 minutes is like an hour everywhere else.
It's
like dog years.
Let me go to the last point.
6 minutes.
He gave me 6 minutes. I love you, brother. Okay, so here's the thing, because I wanted to say that, and it was good that James Stewart was pointed out, because James Stewart, I have James Stewart in this paper, like James Stewart, Abdullah Kalama, Cadwell, Eshul, Anderson has also advanced the attachment of technology to the imagination in a chronopolitical and chronohistorical manner. And so this is an important piece that we have to do. And I think bringing that into the picture would be a wonderful and a good thing. So finally, I want to just say this, that social regulation and social emancipation, these are the two contesting tendencies, I think, that are there in the future, that in some senses, we're fighting for social emancipation, we're fighting for cultural justice, but on the other hand, there's always social regulation or political regulation. So there's a tug that's going on. And often we see in this society that what happens to emancipation, it collapses into regulation. And this is part of what we're seeing in that whole debate about abortion, This is what we're seeing also about the whole debate on immigration, that this notion of individual freedom or collective freedom really is now being challenged by a sort of a Trumpian demagoguery, where people are actually trying to reduce agency and bring people under regulation and under control and domination and patriarchy. So these are the things that we have to worry about. But thank you very much.